When a single mother moves to Taipei with her 2 daughters and opens a food stall in the night market, what starts off as an opportunity for a new beginning for them turns into a catalyst for the unearthing of simmering tensions and closely guarded secrets. Director Shih-Ching Tsou teams up with Sean Baker for an immersion in Taiwanese culture and the complicated dynamics that come from tradition and family in a film led by 3 female characters who steer the intertwining threads of a narrative that eventually leads to unexpected revelations in Left-Handed Girl.
我觉得这应该很奇妙。
各位小朋友，我们今天有新同学哦。
妈，
你姐有没有觉得是接你？
没有，可是姐说有就是有。
我不知道你现在在台北，你在这里工作吗？
没有啦，这是我妈的摊子啦。
Shih-Ching Tsou directed Left-Handed Girl and co-wrote the screenplay with longtime collaborator Sean Baker. Inspired by her own life and childhood, the film examines idiosyncrasies of Taiwanese people that touch on family, money, prejudice, and superstition. The production also charted remarkable ground by Shih-Ching as a filmmaker because the film was shot in its entirety using iPhone cameras, adding to the impact of much of the film being presented through the eyes of a child, the young Yi Jing, played by Taiwanese child star Nina Ye.
Julita da Silva, Arise Play Nigeria. My first question is for Shih-Ching. When looking at the film, in Nigeria, normally when something is or someone deviates from convention, we always analyze it through the prism of some slight superstition because we're such a religious country. And then watching this film about a little girl who uses her left hand and her grandfather said the left hand is the devil's hand, it made me think of that, where it doesn't come from a malicious place, it's just in the DNA of culture. So how did you get the film tone right so that you present an insight into the culture but not an indictment or judgment of it?
Well, I think it's just, because the idea stemming from my own experience, living in Taipei, and, that's what my grandfather told me when I was in high school. When I used knife with my left hand, and he scolded me. So even it wasn't really like a religious standpoint, but I think it's just like in the culture, they think you had to be the same with other people. So I think just through like everything in the film is based on my own experience, and also the story I heard from my friends or families. So I think that, from just kind of I just like purely want to state the fact. I'm not trying to judge anybody or criticize anything. So I think that kind of give it a different kind of perspective.
跟大家讲一下这个海绵好不好用？
这是全世界最好的海绵。
你等一下看到外公外婆要给我叫人哦，听到没有？
哦，好哇，好可爱哟！
就这，也有到处讲本。
你们在看什么？
其他人有耳无嘴。
又是前3名，为什么没有读大学？
Palme d'Or-winning filmmaker Sean Baker, fresh from his multiple Oscar-winning success earlier this year with his indie drama, ANORA, previously worked with Shih-Ching in various capacities as filmmakers, from co-writers to co-producers to co-directors, notably when Shih-Ching was a co-producer on his Oscar-nominated film, The Florida Project. Now, Sean assumed the role of editor, as well as co-writer and co-producer, as Shih-Ching took the director's chair for Left-Handed Girl.
And for Sean, just looking at the directing and the editing, technically, the movie feels very energetic and dynamic, even the camera being held low from the perspective of a child. I thought that was interesting too. Did those visual choices come from because you're trying to showcase the environment of a scene, or because you're trying to showcase the sentiment of the characters within the scene?
Well, regarding the directing side of it, you should be asking Shih-Ching. I think that I was so impressed when I first saw the footage as an editor, because she had the footage was incredibly dynamic. Her directing style was had an energy and movement that allowed me to find a rhythm while editing. It was actually really fun to edit, and especially being, always keeping in mind that we're supposed to be seeing this world through the eyes of a 6-year-old. So everything has to be big. Your senses are more, you could say, acute when they're that young. So everything is vibrant with color and sound and everything. And Shih-Ching directed in such a way that she captured all of this energy in her images.
你要是老是这样子的话，那我就让给别人去做哦。你若唔到手，你就叫我去推魔鬼做代志，你听我。
我们没钱了，你要去上班。
你们会讲，我们自己去算啊。
是我的魔鬼手偷的啦。
While this film is a personally inspired work that explores Taiwanese culture, it also stands out as a performance-driven piece anchored by women of different generations and different sensibilities, giving us a multidimensional look at what it is to be Taiwanese and female, and what it is like to push back against the pressures and expectations of gender and also socioeconomic status, which, in addition to the achievement in filmmaking technique, led Taiwan to select Left-Handed Girl as their official submission for Best International Film at the Oscars.
And Shih-Ching, just looking at it, it felt like a 3-woman drama, but it's kind of like an exploration of culture through them. But when you look at them from other Taiwanese films I've seen, they're more bolshy and headstrong, which felt quite Western. So did you deliberately cross-pollinate cultures to create the tone of the women in the film?
I think it's, like these 3 characters, basically they are like fragment of my own. As the little girl, when I got corrected, I was born left-handed, but I got corrected in like probably kindergarten. I probably felt the same, like the little girl got told that left hand is devil's hand. I probably felt the same, like trying to figure out what that really meant. And as the young girl, the Ian, the older sister, I was probably the same. I was very rebellious when I was that age. So I kind of, projected that into the role. And as the mother, I have a 9-year-old right now. And, I think after being a mother, coming back to direct this film, that definitely gave me a different perspective, So as a mother to kind of feel more about the mother role, how she interact with her daughter when the daughter is not really listening to her. So I think like everything kind of, I kind of put in my own life experience into them.
Well, beautiful film, and I really enjoyed watching it. Congratulations and bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you.